All right, all right, all right. It is Sunday, August 23rd, 2026. Wow, can't believe it's August already, but it is. So it is August 23rd at 7:58 p.m. We have committed to popping on just a couple of minutes early so that we can give our followers an opportunity to invite someone else. That's your assignment moving forward is to always invite someone else to be with you and us as we lean in. So go ahead and take a moment to do that. We've been trying to send reminders, not trying to, we have been sending reminders so you could set the notifications on your phone, set an alarm, do what you have to do so that you can be in the room. The last thing you want to do is miss lean in with CWJ. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right, so you have 1 minute to get your friends and family here. Let them know that we have another good one tonight, y'all. Mm, mm, mm. I'll get your friends here because maybe some of the friends that you invite are the ones that we need to have this discussion with. I'm just saying. So make sure you invite them and that you are letting them know we are on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And on YouTube Live, we are Lean In with CWJ. So make sure you go ahead and do that now so that we can have everybody in the room. Okay, I just sent one more message and I'm hoping that people receive it. I know Coach Lima has been posting, so has Pastor Weaver. So don't tell us you didn't know. Because we're doing everything we can to make sure that you are in the know. You don't want to miss out. We don't want anybody to have, what's that, fear of missing out?
Oh,
FOMO? FOMO. Yeah, we don't want anybody to have that. Well, it's 8 o'clock, and we're going to keep it moving because we respect your time. So, good evening to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Lean In with CWJ. I am one third of your hosting team, Dr. Marcia Cradle, and we also have Coach Lima Johnson and Pastor Kennard Weaver. Welcome back, everyone.
these weeks are just rolling by.
I know, I know. It's amazing. Like I said, it's hard to believe it's already August. We're just 4 months away from another year. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. That's a North Carolina thing. Y'all know nothing about that.
I was
Lord
thinking
willing, and the creek don't rise.
that sounds
Okay. I don't know what that means, but that's what they used to always say. I don't know. But anyway, tonight, friends, we are talking about something we've probably all said at one time or another, and that is we'll just have to agree to disagree. But tonight, we want to ask can we really do that? We want to hear your opinion. Can I hear your opinion, completely disagree with you, and still respect you? Can we have different political views, different beliefs, different parenting styles, different perspectives about relationships, faith, money, and education, or even what's right and wrong, and still maintain a healthy relationship? Because somewhere along the way, it seems like disagreement started feeling like disrespect. If you don't agree with me, you must be against me. If you challenge what I believe, suddenly we can't be friends. And sometimes instead of having difficult, courageous conversations, we avoid them altogether. But what if disagreement doesn't have to lead to division? Tonight, we are asking the question can we really agree to disagree? Can we disagree without disrespecting, dismissing, or disconnecting from one another? And we want you in this conversation. So we're going to be asking questions throughout the evening. We want you to drop your thoughts in the chat. We want feedback on what we're discussing. We want you to tell us where we stand. And remember, you might see an opinion or hear an opinion tonight that you completely disagree with. And that's the point. So get your coffee, your tea, lemonade. We're in Georgia, so you have to have a Coke, not Pepsi. Grab whatever you have and get ready to lean in. My co-hosts are quiet. They're ready. Pastor Weaver.
I'm going to toss this to Coach Lima first. You might need some coaching before we jump in, right?
Yeah, and speaking of, when I posted, or when I typically post the flyer, I always throw a question or two out there because, as a coach, that's just what I do. I ask questions. And one of the questions was, have we replaced agree to disagree with us versus them? And another question I asked was, is the divide in the world a result of our differences or an inability to handle them? And I want to start here by saying, because I think a lot of times when we're talking about diversity, it's often talked about under the premise of race, right? That's always like, the diversity conversation. Where diversity is not, it's not only, just about race, but there's diversity in conversation amongst people that look the same, right? And as I was thinking about this, it just brought me to this thought, how diversity starts in our DNA as individuals. If you think about 2, 3, 4 children growing up in the same home with the same parents, all 3, 4 of those experiences are going to be different because we're different. We perceive different. Our personalities are different, right? So I just wanted to take it there, like where our differences start, because we've gotten away from that in a sense. We've gotten away from just our differences, not on a race level, but just on a human level. And we're not the same. We're not going to think the same. Now, out here in the world, you do have a lot of group thinkers. There's a lot of group thinkers. There's a lot of us versus them, whether it's in religion, whether it's in government, whether it's socially. You just see it all the time. But let's talk about this, this diversity in conversation, this diversity in opinions. Why is it so frowned upon? And one of the things, before I pass it to you, Pastor Weaver, is that I think because a difference of opinion for some people is a threat. It's not a conversation, it's a threat. It feels like an attack. And I'm not sure why that is.
I think part of the reason for that is because people have gotten away from the skill of communication. Being able to have a conversation with someone and have that person immediately give you feedback, because a lot of times what I see happening is things going back and forth on text or on social media, and so people aren't having to have real conversations. So I think that is part of the problem.
And I think before we even get there, we have to go back. Coach Lim, I think you did an amazing job laying the foundation. Right, you tapped into 2 very important things from my perspective that we are or we should lean into tonight. Right? I love the fact that you started out with talking about children who are raised in the same household. Right? So we begin. Number one is the first place that you learn any type of relationship skills is in the family, right? Whatever that family looks like. Right? The fact that you're sharing space and you're sharing responsibility. Uh, so you're in a nucleus, you're in a family, and The thing that we have to remember is that agreement is not a requirement for a relationship.
Mm,
You don't. It's not a requirement for you to be siblings, for you to be in any form of relationship. Agreement is not a requirement, but respect is absolutely required. It's absolutely necessary if the relationship is going to be healthy. So the real question that we should be tackling tonight maybe is not about can we agree to disagree. Maybe the real question that we should be tackling tonight is can we disagree? We already know we can disagree, right? But the question is, can we disagree without becoming disagreeable?
mm,
Can I hear you without attacking you? Can I challenge your position or your thought process without it being a questionable mark on your character? Can we have a different of perspective, a different perspective, and still leave the conversation with our dignity intact and with our relationship intact? Because many times in relationship we have confused disagreement with disrespect. A difference in opinion is not automatically a personal attack on anybody. So we're living in a culture, we're living in a time from the highest office all the way down where disagreement can quickly become disrespectful.
mm-hmm.
So somewhere along the line, we start believing if you disagree with what I believe, you must have a problem with me. But those are two completely different things. You can disagree with my position without dishonoring my personhood. You can disagree with my position or my opinion without disrespecting me. You can challenge my thinking without attacking my character.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the people who disagree with us are the very people who force us to think deeper, to go deeper in our thought process. So when the disagreement becomes a synopsis with disrespect, maturity is the ability to be able to hear something you don't like without immediately deciding you don't like the person who said it. Ouch.
Mhm.
And it goes back to this relationship, right? I can share space and home with family members. We don't always have to see eye to eye. Does not mean that we hate each other. Does not mean that we disrespect each other. We just see things from two different perspectives.
And to add what you're saying, Pastor, you won't always see eye to eye. You know, that's just a fact. You won't. And to
And that is
highlight,
healthy.
and that is
That should
healthy.
be healthy, yes.
Yeah, because it speaks to our differences. And I think that it makes for a more robust conversation, when you have a disagreement. But even to highlight what you were saying, it's not personal. It's not a personal attack. It's not a personal threat. When you're having a conversation with someone and they just don't agree. And I think that that's what happens. A person that just gets triggered for whatever reason takes it personal, takes it
Mm-hmm.
like you're personally attacking me because you don't agree with what I'm saying, and you spoke to this. It takes such a level of emotional maturity. It takes a level of intellectual maturity. You do have to be mature to have these conversations. um, and I hate to keep bringing up, and I'm not blaming anything on social media. And I hear people say, well, social media is not the real world. It's not, but it affects the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And I have clients, that spend 6, 7, 8 hours on social media, just taking it in and wondering, why they're feeling what they're feeling. And I'm saying that to say, because the wars that are happening on there, man versus woman, and you know politics is what it is. That's been around, that's not going anywhere. Religion, but everything is so us versus them, so
Mm-hmm.
me versus you. you know Forget about agree to disagree. Now you do have your spaces where there is that maturity, and healthy conversations are being had. But if we can't disagree in relationships, we're going to have a hard time in relationships of any kind. We
And
just will.
that's the PowerPoint of it, right? Number one, it's relationship. So let's go back to the foundation of where our relationship started and how we were trained to operate and function in the relationship. And then it goes back to something that Dr. Cradle talked about, right? The communication. So let's dig into that. Let's dig into this communication piece because we live in a world now where we talk about social media. We live in a world now where we do not really listen to what is being said in
Mhm.
conversation. We are just waiting for our turn to talk. So when you're communicating with someone else, listening to respond and listening to understand are two different things. So many conversations are not really conversation. They're just many conversations in communication. It's just two people who are constantly preparing their rebuttals.
Mhm.
You're talking, I'm not listening to you. I'm just loading my responses to what you're saying. That's why one of the most powerful questions we can ask is help me understand why you see it the way you see it. Help me understand why you think it the way you're thinking it. The question does not mean that I disagree with you or I agree with you. The question means that I value you enough to understand you before I try to evaluate you.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
was going to
scripture in the
say,
Bible.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
that piece that you put in about help me understand, because sometimes we genuinely don't understand what the person is trying to say. And so I think it's good that we ask, help me
Or
to
sometimes
understand.
we understand, we just want clarification to make sure my understanding line up with the fabric of what is it that you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
right? So can we get on the same page? I was going to say there's a scripture in the Bible in James 1 and 19 that gives us a powerful communication model. And we've heard this before, right? It says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Notice the order. Listen first, speak second, anger comes last. In real life, we normally reverse that. And so you don't have to surrender your position in order to understand someone else's perspective. It is possible, I think that Coach Lehman said this a moment ago. It is possible for you and I to grow up in the same home. It's possible for you and I to experience the same thing. It's possible for you and I to be in the same environment, but we're looking at things from different places. That's why
Mm-hmm.
this is where the conversation gets interesting. Right? Two people can experience the same organization. They can belong to the same church. They can hear the same message. They can be in the same family. They can work in the same place, live in the same community, or even attend the same event and walk away with completely different conclusions. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because we all do not see life as it is. We see life through our lived experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Our upbringing comes into play, our education comes into play, our disappointments come into play, our successes, our culture, our generation comes into play, our wounds and our experiences comes into play. So before you dismiss someone else's perspective, maybe I need to ask, what have you experienced that caused you to see this differently than I do? Someone who grew up in a middle class family is going to have a completely different perspective on things than someone who grew up in a family where you had to struggle for every meal. The question can change the conversation that takes place. Different perspectives don't always mean that somebody is wrong. Sometimes it means we're standing in different places. We're looking at through different lenses.
And that brings up another question for me, Pastor. So, what happens when the disagreement is within the family? So, should you tolerate more because the person is family, or should the boundaries be even strong? You should have stronger boundaries, because when it's within a family, it can a disagreement can really break up a family.
But well, it goes back to what we were saying in the beginning, right? That the disagreement does not have to lead to disrespect. Right? It's not that it should be something different because it's in a family. Truth that does not need me to destroy you in order to defend it. We can become so committed to provide to proving that we are right that we forget to represent respect. We forget to represent Christ in the doing so. So we've got to learn, especially within families, you got to speak truth in love.
Hmm. Hmm.
That means truth matters, but so does truth matters, but so does the delivery of the truth. Truth without love becomes brutality.
Hmm.
Love without truth can become avoidance. Well, we're just going to avoid that conversation because that's blood, that's my family. Maturity requires both uh, truth and it requires respect. I should be able to say, Lima, you're my girl, you're my friend, but I strongly disagree with you. Without me having to say, therefore, there must be something wrong with you, Lima, if you don't see it the way I see it. Jesus never required us to abandon our convictions, but conviction should never become so permanent that it gives us permission to be cruel to other people. And so we don't resort to name calling and shaming and trying to destroy someone because we have a difference of opinion. If I have to destroy your dignity to defend my position, I've already weakened my argument. Ooh, that was good. That was good. Let me try to say that again. If I have to destroy your dignity to defend or prove my position, then I've already weakened, I've cheapened my argument.
And unfortunately, we're living in a time when people are doing that more. They start to attack someone's character when they don't agree with what they're saying.
Absolutely.
And people get on television and social media and just try to destroy like a person's character simply because they do not agree with what they said.
It's because we have limited vocabulary in our communication. I think someone said it earlier about social media not being real life, right? I want to challenge that a little bit. Social media is real life,
Mhm.
right? It just happens in snippets and sound bites. And what social media has done to humanity, social media has taught us to perform instead of communicate.
Mm,
Some conversations aren't designed to find understanding. Some conversations are not designed for us to get an understanding anymore. They're designed for us to find an audience. So we post,
It's
we pick
performative.
sides. Once you post something, the comment starts,
hmm.
screenshots happen, and suddenly something that could have been a 5 minutes conversation becomes a 5 day controversy.
Mm,
That's why I tell people you got to be careful sometimes what you like and what you comment on because you don't know the background, you don't know the context, right? And so if I like and reshare something, then I am joining in an argument or a disagreement. Sometimes the healthiest response is not another comment, it's not another like, it's not another share. Sometimes the healthiest response is to pick up a phone, call somebody, and say, "Hey, can we talk?" Everything does not need to be a public response. This is not for performance. Everything does not deserve my energy, and every disagreement does not require you to prove that you won. So, if winning the argument is your goal, but in winning the argument it costs you the relationship, you have to ask yourself, what have you actually won?
Yeah, that's true. I think too, we are so we can't get away from this whole the group thinkers, right? The copy and paste brains. Um, and I think too, with that, again, when we talk about upbringing and you talk about how as children you were even allowed to communicate or allowed to express yourself, or how did the adults welcome healthy dialogue and conversation, or did you come from a household again where kids are to be seen and not heard? I think too that inability to communicate, it happens there. Or even if you see, because I've seen amongst my family, the generation before me, where if there was any disagreement, it was high drama.
Cuddle.
People felt personally, yeah, I mean, like the argument, you could, nothing ever got accomplished. Like if when to watch them come together and try to have like a family meeting, if one person said anything that went against the group, it was wild. And so I think too with group thinking, people, they just want to feel like they belong to something. So again, it's just like, okay, I'm going to go along with the group. I'm not going to have an independent thought about anything. So instead of looking at a situation and deciding how they feel about it, they're going to look at it and think, well, what's the tribe think? What's the tribe saying? I think that's another problem too when we're communicating. People having an ability to critically think, to come up with an independent thought. And because it's like, nope, I'm going with what the tribe is saying because I want to belong in this group, whether it's socially, whether it's at work, they're looking to belong somewhere. And so just an original thought is they're like, because this goes against, I'm not going on the other side of this wall. And I think that being an independent thinker, you have to be okay with being called a problem, being the villain. If somebody says they don't like a singer that everybody likes, oh, you're just a hater. And you have to be okay with being called a hater, and not allowing somebody else's fear or their trigger of not being willing to have a real conversation. And
not just independent thinking, right? It's also the unique thinking. It's the original thinker. It's not just the independent thought. It's the willingness to have an individual, a unique and original thought. It's the family performance outside the family. Right? There's a family that I belong to, but there's a family gathering around an idea, around a concept. And so if Coach Lima and I are having a disagreement, I'm going to keep retelling the story from my perspective until I form a family around my version of the story.
Yeah.
Someone that's going to, so it goes back to what I think Dr. Crayler, you asked the question earlier, what about if it is happening within families? But here's the thing about agreement or agreeing to disagree. Agreeing to disagree does have limits. There are limitations to it. This is extremely important. Don't miss this. There are limitations to agreeing to disagree. It should never mean anything goes. It should never means because of your relationship to me or because of the bloodline that we share, we tolerate anything. There are issues that involves dignity, and there are issues that involve safety and abuse and injustice and ethics and fundamental values where disagreement may require some strong, very defined boundaries. Peace does not require pretending something is harmful but is acceptable.
Yeah.
You cannot respect someone's humanity while saying, I cannot participate in that. I can respect you and not participate in your shenanigans. I can be your family member and still not support the things that you are doing. Like, I can love you, but I don't have to remain in the toxic environment that you find comfortability in. So agreeing to disagree does not always mean staying equally close.
That takes a lot of courage. I was going to say that takes a lot of courage when you're saying, "Hey, I'm not what kids say. I'm not down with those shenanigans because that's cap." They'll come out and tell you. And so I think it takes courage to do that, but it's necessary.
And it takes more than courage also. I think it goes back to what Coach Lima was alluding to a moment ago, right? It takes being able to have an original thought. It takes being able to have an original feeling. Because sometimes Mature disagreement will end with mutual respect. First of all, I have to respect myself. Sometimes it has to end with healthy boundaries. Hey, I love you, I respect you, but this is where we have to part ways. Respect does not require unlimited access.
Mm,
Yes, you, my family member. Yes, you, my child. Yes, you, my parent. Yes, you, my spouse. But I don't have to be subjected to this emotional roller coaster that you keep putting me on. So
mm,
just maybe we've been asking the wrong question around this. Maybe instead of asking, can I convince you to agree with me? Maybe the better question ought to be, can I understand you better? Can you understand me better? Can you respect my choices? Can you respect my original thought? Can we tell each other the truth and still walk away from with this relationship intact? Or can we challenge one another without humiliating one another? Can we leave this conversation without becoming enemies? Because unity and uniformity are not the same thing.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Uniformity says everybody has to think like me. That's the family aside the family that we fabricate. Unity says we don't have to think alike to recognize the value in each other. Coach Lima, I respect that you feel that way. I respect that you said so and so. I respect that you believe so and so. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it, right? But you, my friend, I've been rolling with you long enough that I respect that your thoughts are not harmful to me. And
mm-hmm.
maybe that's what our families need, and maybe that's what our church community need. That's what we need in our workplaces, and our local community. And frankly, to be honest, right now, that's what our country needs. We need more of unity, not people afraid to disagree, but people who are mature enough to disagree without trying to destroy each other.
And I think this platform allows us to share that with other people who who need to hear it, because like you said, we okay, we don't agree, we think differently, but that doesn't mean you start to belittle someone and
Mhm.
insult their intelligence, insult their family, and it's just not necessary. But I think another avenue to this is teaching our students at an earlier age how to effectively communicate with each other. We see
Absolutely.
things all the time. People get into an argument, and the first thing they do is have a physical fight, and that's not necessary. You can disagree with someone, and like you said, just I respect what you're saying, but I don't agree with it, and keep it moving.
And be careful of how we are trying to train and raise and develop our younger generation, right? We cannot tell them one thing with our mouths or one thing in words and say you ought not to do this, you ought to do so and so, you ought to respect so and so. But then they can go out because, as Coach Lima said, social media is now a real thing. They can go out and find a soundbite from your social media. They can go
Mm,
out and find the clips from your illicit behavior on social media. So we can't tell them one thing with our mouths, but then they have evidence that our behavior does not line up with what is it that we are saying. So in order for me to respect you, in order for you to respect me, in order for us to disagree, I don't need you to think exactly like me in order for me to respect you. I don't need you to agree with everything I believe in order for me to listen to you. And I
mhm.
absolutely don't need you to abandon your conviction in order to honor my humanity and vice versa. So can we really agree to disagree? I believe so. I honestly believe that we can, but it can only happen when being in a relationship becomes more important than being right about everything. Different views don't have to mean division.
Yeah.
My relationship with you ladies are a whole lot more important than me always having to be right. There's sometimes we just have to have the conversation, have the conversation. And we can't have the conversation in hand me down manners. We cannot have the conversation through other people. Don't send a message Coach Lima and I have a disagreement, don't send a message to me through Dr. Cradle. Because from the time it leaves your lips to Dr. Cradle ears to come out of her lips to my ears, it's already been filtered.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in its original state.
Yeah.
And don't send it through text message.
And don't send it through text
Because
message.
it gets lost. That gets lost in translation too.
You don't know what emotions I'm in when I'm reading it. I can't believe
Exactly.
she had the nerve to be texting me.
And the tone that I read it in when you
Right.
send a text to me, and then
Absolutely.
it becomes, no, she didn't talk to me like that.
So let's have the conversation. And
Mhm.
silence is nothing but ignoring the situation. I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, silence has no words. And unless you're using words, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
And so we have to get out of this place where, well, if I were you, I would have done it this way. You're not me.
And you
I'm
don't
not.
know what you would have done.
And you know what you would have done if you were in my shoes, right? But because you disagree, now the entire relationship has to go to hell. And let me say this before I pass this over. The deterioration of the relationship is not always a big boom. The deterioration of the relationship is not always a big bang. It happens little at a time, little by little by little. If you and I are friends, and every time we have a disagreement where I don't see things your way, we have to go through this whole thing, and then I have to help put your emotion back together. After a while, it becomes exhausting.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, well, you said in all of what you said, the one word you said, maturity. It takes a lot of maturity. It takes a lot of self-awareness. I think you just have some people that are just dealing with arrested development and they lack self-awareness. And so to even try to have this mature conversation,
Mhm.
in a mature way is almost next to impossible. So some conversations you just need to know when to walk away from, because it's like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and try to say, well, how did you come to that? And how did you, and they're acting crazy, and they're ballistic or they're being disrespectful. Some conversations you do need to walk away from, because when you can discern or you can sense that this back and forth is not going anywhere, no matter how much I'm trying to communicate and no matter how mature I am, this is not going anywhere. So some conversations just was like, okay, you know what? This is the end of that.
And that doesn't take courage, that takes effort.
Yeah.
It takes effort. I'm a firm believer in what the Bible says. When I was a child, I behaved like a child. I operated like a child. But now that I'm a grown man, before I used to walk away from some unproductive conversation and then be consumed in guilt. Now I just walk away and shake the dust off my feet. I'm not going to feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
I'm too old for this.
And not lose a bit of sleep.
Not a bit.
That part. And like you said, it's because of maturity.
So it's that sense of belonging. One day we'll talk about this. This is where we have this negative connotation about gangs and gang affiliation, and why do young people get involved with gang and all of the violence that it comes with it, right? But take away the violence and all those things. You know what they find in gangs?
Belonging.
Acceptance. Yeah.
Mhm.
Family.
They find belonging. They find family.
Yeah.
Because sometimes in your own family, your blood family, you can't even have a voice, because if your voice is different from the family, what they say you're abandoning the family. They say you're going against the family, you're disrespecting the family. Knowing the family is jacked up, but you're not allowed to go outside the bound. You're not allowed to hold anyone in the family responsible
Right.
or to accountability. And so we go back to, we've talked about this before. I don't know how many episodes ago. We do the same song and dance every 12 months when we go to family reunions, and we pretend like there's not a white elephant in the room. And it's been there for decades.
And we just eat around it, talk around it. Hey, y'all, around it. We do all the things right around that big old.
We're going to agree to disagree. And the way that we're going to agree to disagree, I know Shirley Ann's going to be there, but I'm not going to say nothing to Shirley Ann. And you walk around pretending that Shirley Ann not there for the whole weekend. I don't have time for that. I'm not paying no plane ticket. I'm not sitting in no car for hours. I'm not cooking nothing to bring to come there and have to walk on eggshells because certain people are there. Guess what I'm not going to do? I just won't come.
That's one solution.
We can agree to disagree. Because if I'm going to come, Shirley Ann, you and I need to have a talk. I'm tired of talking to you through Grandma and Pop and all that. We need to have a talk. We're not 10 years old anymore. We're not running around in the backyard playing catch me if you can.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Well. Okay. Oh, wait. I was just getting ready to say that our followers were quiet, and then this popped up, and it says, "I'm working on being slow to speak and slow to anger, but I would love to have a conversation. With my husband's siblings about being disrespectful, but I want to just keep the peace and be respectful in front of his mother."
Mhm. So number one, that's why for that follower, right? Number one, that's why the disrespect continues to grow. Because listen how we ended. I want to keep the peace. But you want to keep the peace, but you're actually losing peace.
Mm,
Number two, there's a part I love you said, I want to be I'm working on being slow to speak and slow to anger, but there's a first part that's left out there. Is that listening part, right?
mhm.
And the listening is not always it. Listening is a skill that you developed. It's a skill that is developed because when you listen, you're not only listening to what is being said, you're also listening to what's not being said. And that
Well,
skill,
how can she, what are some recommendations for her to begin, because she does say that she wants to have a conversation. What's a way that she can have these conversations?
well, first of all, you're gathering your facts. You've been listening, right? And the listening, again, is not just in what's being said, it's also in what's not being said. The listening is in the behavior traits, it's in the
Hmm.
body languages, and then those individual, because I think you said something that we're trying to be respectful in front of the mother. So um, it does not sound as if the issues with the mother. Then take
No.
the issue to the people who the issue is to. Now, as we talk about communication and the communication skills, if and we've talked about this before on the show, if Coach Lima and I are having a disagreement with one another, and respect is on the fence of being lost, talking face to face is not going to work. Because remember
Mm,
what we said at the top of the show, we do not communicate to hear one another. We communicate to prepare our rebuttals.
mhm.
Right. So the moment Coach Lima start talking to me and I start talking to Coach Lima, the moment we say something to each other that we don't agree with, this guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop listening to everything else she's saying because I'm just waiting for her to shut her mouth so I can give her my rebuttal for what I disagree with. But
Mhm.
when I start putting my communication in evidential ways, I put it in writing. I'm going to write you a letter, send you an email. Even if Coach Lima disagree with me on line number 3,
Can't do anything.
ability within us to want to know is going to keep on reading.
Yep. Yep.
Now, when you call me, we have an evidence that we are pointing back to, right? But I didn't like the way you said such and such in line number 3. I say, yes, but did you notice what I said in line number 7? Did you read what I said? Now we have something that we can have a discussion on. Right? It
Hmm.
removes the emotions, it removes the anger. It's not about how you made me feel. Let's talk facts, not feelings. Now, if the disrespect or the lack thereof have been happening over time, it's not going to be fixed in one communication.
Mm.
can we agree to continue communicating? Hey, Lima, if there is something that you recognize that I'm doing or something I'm saying that is offensive, would you mind bringing that to my attention immediately? And because if you try to have a conversation today about something that happened 3 years ago, child, there's a whole lot of stuff that just came up. Why are you waiting 3 years to bring this up now?
Yeah.
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 And that does happen. That's just like with raising a child. If you don't address something that they're doing right away, when it like if they do something today is Sunday and you don't address it until Wednesday, in all likelihood they won't remember what you're
Yes,
even talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
And
Next week you want to bring
there's
it
another
up.
part to it, right? Here's the other part. I think I heard you say something about the spouse's siblings, right?
Hmm.
If there is some issues, Coach Lima is married. If Coach Lima in-laws are creating some challenges, the question become who need to be having this conversation with them? Is it Coach Lima or is it her husband?
It's her husband, and that's the point that I was going to make. He's the one that bridges the gap
Yeah,
um, with his family, and if it's his brothers that are being disrespectful in whatever kind of way, disrespect is disrespect, then the husband is supposed to bridge that gap. Even if you and the husband go to have this
hmm
conversation, mom doesn't always have to be around because we're grown. We're talking about adults here, so it doesn't
Hmm.
have to be done in front of the mother, but it has to be done in a way where husband and wife are talking to the husband's siblings, and
Hmm.
so that we can figure out why this disrespect, and the husband letting them know this has got to stop.
yeah. It's a whole different show we just moved into, y'all. I just want y'all to know that, right? But it is so good because if that's the issue, and Coach Lima is bringing it to the husband, and the husband is saying, well, you need to talk to them. You're the one who's offended. You're the one who think they're disrespectful. You need to talk with them. The issue is no longer between Coach Lima and the in-laws. Hello,
Between me and
somebody.
my husband, you better
Hello,
believe
somebody.
it.
Right? And the two shall become one. Yeah.
Okay.
You better believe it.
I wish I could do that. Okay, like Cardi B does it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's real.
yeah, yeah, that is real. Ooh, that's a show in itself, y'all. Mm, mm,
This relationship thing and this communication, this agreeing to disagree, does not mean that we do not communicate.
right.
It means that you allow me to have my say, and you develop an ability to try to understand it from my perspective, not from your stance.
Right.
Those are two completely different things.
Wow. 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 Okay, that was really, really good. But our shows are always good. Yes, I'm a little biased, but they are. We got receipts.
Right. Ooh,
Receipts.
that's receipts.
Yes, we do. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful conversation. So as we get ready to wrap up, Coach Lima, do you have any announcements?
I did not.
Okay, Pastor Weaver.
Um, no, I don't have any announcements. I do want to say yesterday I had the privilege and the honor of serving on a panel for a parent town hall meeting that was hosted by the juvenile chief justice in our county where we live. Um, and it was a lot of people there. I want you to know that um, Dr. Cradle is a celebrity. You hear me? Everybody knows her. They're like, "Oh, we didn't know that you knew Dr. Cradle. I've seen the flyer with you guys doing the podcast together." So she is the celebrity. So I want to hang. I want to keep hanging close to you. Maybe I need to come to one of these coffee shops, tea shop,
You
meetup, whatever.
should.
So
You
yeah,
should.
yeah.
Yes, you should. And thank you for that compliment. I do. it's my honor to serve our community and others. Um, and that was my announcement that the next Brewed for More coffee, tea, or energy drink, because everybody doesn't drink coffee like I do, but it's on October the 3rd at Brewed Up Coffee Space. So you'll see, I've already started putting out information about it. Like I said, I'll buy a cup of coffee for the first 30 people. Now, if you come in 31, I don't know what to tell you, but yeah. But all you have to do is let me know, and everyone, you can, send me an email, a text, a DM. Let me know that you would like to attend, and I will add your name to the list. The last one was amazing, and it has grown. It actually doubled in size from the first one.
Wow.
So yes, so guys, keep coming. It's just a time just to chill, relax, and have some, good conversation. So it's October the 3rd from 10 a.m. until noon. And I have to say, we stayed until like 12:30, 12:45 because we were just having such a good time. So yeah. And if you can't stay the entire time, that's okay too. But still come and stop by for a few minutes if you can. Okay.
Cool beans.
All right. Well, whew, what a conversation tonight. We've learned, I think that we've learned that agreeing to disagree doesn't mean we abandon what we believe. It doesn't mean that every opinion is right. And it certainly doesn't mean that we have to remain silent about the things that matter to us. But maybe it does mean that we need to learn how to make room for one another. We can disagree without disrespecting. We can challenge an idea without attacking a person. We can stand firmly in what we believe while still being willing to listen. And perhaps most importantly, we can recognize that different doesn't automatically mean wrong, and disagreement doesn't have to mean division. Sometimes the most mature thing we can say is, I hear you. I understand where you are coming from. I still don't agree, but I still respect you. Imagine if this could happen in our families, friendships, churches, workspaces, communities, and even on social media if we stop treating every disagreement like a battle that someone has to win. Because at the end of the day, the goal shouldn't always be to prove that I'm right and you're wrong. Sometimes the greater victory is being able to walk away from a difficult conversation with the relationship and each other's dignity still intact. So, Coach Lima, Pastor Kennard Weaver, I have to throw his whole name in there, Kennard Weaver. This conversation, I really believe, was one that needed to be had. And we just thank everyone, all of our followers who joined us tonight, who were bold enough to comment. And even if you don't agree with us, thank you. That's what Lean In is all about. So until next time, keep listening, keep learning, keep giving people room to be human. And remember, we don't have to think alike to respect each other. We don't have to agree on everything to care about one another. And different views don't have to mean division. Good night, everybody. And as always,
good night, everybody.
Good night.
good night.